Welcome back. You're watching News9 Live. I'm Shweta Kothari. There is a new concept in the jobs market that job seekers need to be aware of. It's called ghost jobs. Now, ghost jobs refer to jobs advertised on the company website, but in reality, they do not exist. These are the jobs that companies advertise but have no real intention of actually filling them. So why do they do it? There is a range of motivation, including projecting an image of growth, satisfying legal obligations, and testing the job market. For job seekers, it is an utter waste of time and gives them a false hope. Now, spotting ghost jobs can be very challenging, but there are telltale signs that one should watch out for, such as a job posting that remains active for an unusually long time, vague job descriptions, and unresponsive recruiters. Now, ghost jobs are more prevalent in industries like IT services, biotech, and media, but less so in more regulated sectors like retail or education. Awareness is crucial for navigating these deceptive job listings. So how do you really figure them out, and what should you be careful of when looking at a JD? Let's talk about that. Rituparna Chakraborty, co-founder Teamlease, joining us on the show. Rituparna, thank you very much for taking time out. How does one really spot a ghost job?
Oh, it's a Herculean task, to be honest, and the fact that it's being used, it's honestly not really a new phenomenon. It's been going on for more than 2 decades. And companies, recruiters, consultants, job sites, portals use it for different reasons to kind of course, reasons which benefit them in some form or the other. And I know it's quite frustrating for job seekers to kind of navigate through this journey. But yeah, I think one of the things that I do recommend to most candidates today is that gone are the days where organizations, companies were not accessible. Nowadays, organizations, access to people, the concerned people in organizations are quite high. So I actually do advise people that even though it feels sometimes difficult and it would be probably easy to just apply to a job and be hopeful that somebody responds, it's not such a bad idea to kind of network and get in touch with some people in these organizations. Look at common connections, just figure out what's essentially going on. Is this company in a growth stage? Are things really looking good? Because organizations typically would not hire until and unless there are clear signs of growth or there are some orders and deals that have been backed by them. Nonetheless, I think some of the common aspects is that be mindful of the how long the job has been active, how many applicants are already there, and how many times the job has been reposted. I mean, this is an interesting thing, and I do warn most candidates that if a job is repeatedly getting posted, and honestly, the way the algorithm works, if your algorithm or your details match with the job posting, you will keep getting the same alerts. And if you see that the same jobs are coming back to you over and over again, I mean, I would personally advise everyone to kind of be wary of such organizations or such job postings. Okay. It's clearly an attempt to...
Rituparna, I want to understand, I think you were getting to it, but why exactly are companies doing it? Now, from my limited understanding, well-reputed companies are not doing it. Companies which are more regulated are not doing it. Perhaps companies which are public are not doing it because they have a certain obligation to their shareholders and stakeholders. But it's usually the companies which are not very big in size, perhaps startups. They are the ones who are more actively putting out ghost listings or ghost jobs, as we are calling it. Why are they doing it?
Yeah, so I think one of the, if one were to first reference job portals, I think job portals are the first place where most candidates go to look for jobs. If you look carefully, you will see that about, give or take 60%, maybe 70% of the job posting, and in essentially slump period, economic slump periods, you will see that percentage going up. About 60 to 70% of the jobs are posted by recruitment companies or consultants, like typical matching consultants, okay? The recruitment consultants. Now, that's their way of using a lean phase where organizations are not hiring to accumulate as much database as possible. It's a typical thing that It's harder to get across the right candidates in good times because there's so much in demand. So recruitment consulting companies start posting jobs across different sectors where they usually work in to kind of accumulate those databases. So that's one. Some organizations, and honestly, it's not really that there is a regulation which stops you clearly from advertising
I was about
a
to come
job.
to that. You brought about a very interesting point. There's no regulation, right? I mean, is there something that can really prevent this phenomena? Because it wastes everybody's time. It wastes, times of HR managers who can do better job with whatever limited time they have at their disposal. And obviously, the people who are looking for jobs, it's a bad job market anyway. And for somebody to be investing days and weeks of their time by filling an application that's never going to turn around, for waiting for an answer, it's never going to happen, nobody's going to come back to you. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy. Is there any provision in the law that can prevent these companies from doing it?
There is no provision which prevents organization to put up prospective job posting. Now the question is, should they? Here is my response to it. It agonizes people definitely in difficult times. But at the same time, one also have to bear in mind that when there are times when organizations actually go out and give, especially when the economy is doing well, they go out and give offers and which are accepted by candidates, and then they refuse to join on the day that the organization is expecting to join. We can't have regulations for all these. Essentially, of course, there is always a healthy, I know there's a question of ethics which is coming into the picture, and we'll talk about that later. But essentially, here is an attempt being made where one is trying to be one step ahead of the other at any point of time, whether that role is that of a recruiter or of a job seeker. So that's essentially why in current period, where probably the job market is a little muted, something like this seems so frustrating. However, I think organizations are looking at planning for the future. Organizations are saying that, listen, now there's a slump period, but there would be a time when we would need good talent. So let's just utilize the current period to kind of accumulate that.
Okay, so basically accumulating CVs for the right time. But I think, as you rightly pointed out, if there may not be a law, it clearly is unethical, because you're giving some hope to a potential employee, somebody who's hoping to be recruited by you. You're going to sit on their application, and for God knows how long, it could be a year, it could be 6 months, and that person meanwhile needs a job. So just to break it down for our viewers, ghost jobs literally do not really mean that these jobs do not exist. These are jobs that can really become actual real jobs in time to come. So a company may be looking at just accumulating CVs for now. Is that correct?
That's essentially what it is. But one of the things about ethics, the thing is, if one were to really take a pragmatic and a very practical clinical view on this, what's the unethical aspect of it? The intent, honestly, for organization is eventually at some point have a database of talent who they can potentially hire. Now, of course, like if there is a job posting, even let's say they do intend to hire Shweta, even if there is a job posting where 1,000 people have applied, there would be 2 people who got selected. The rest never will get to know about it, to be honest. So there is going to be a disappointment for the one who doesn't get a job in any case.
Right.
And I'm not, honestly, there are people who use job posting for unethical reasons, clearly. I mean, a lot of people nowadays use job posting as a means to collect database for completely different purposes, by the way. They might be running some other marketing scheme, to be honest. They might eventually collect this database to sell some other product. And those are things which, honestly, at some point, I guess the systems will be mature enough for us to figure it out, that for what purposes databases are being utilized. Like some of the job portal databases, one really doesn't know for what reason it's being purchased or being procured, right?
Right.
So yes, but let's just leave aside people who will always figure out a way of doing wrong things.
Okay.
But the general intent essentially is that let's just keep a positive momentum about the brand, the employer brand of the organization. let's just keep building and creating the database. You never know when tomorrow you would need to hire. At that point, you will pay hefty, recruiter fees to find these talents. So
Right.
just to prevent that, you're hedging your chances and odds at this point. So there are various reasons why this
Okay.
happened. Is it good? No. Does it hurt few people? A lot of people, of course. But I don't think it's illegal. Neither do I think that there is an intent to kind of
I'm
I
sure
mean,
there's no
there's no
intent to purposefully hurt somebody. And as you rightly pointed out, there is no law around it. So obviously it gives some leg room, some leeway for companies to collect CVs beforehand and not at the time of when the actual need arises. But all in all, it is hurting a lot of people out there. Surveys suggest that about 10% of total job postings in the country today are ghost jobs. Essentially, these jobs do not really exist in time at the moment. There could be future job opportunities, but all in all, people there have to be very careful of where they apply and whether that job is going to turn around and become an actual real job or not. But thank you very much, Rituparna, for joining us, for your perspective on that story, and we continue to, of course, track that here on News9 Live. But with that, it's the end of the show. Thank you for watching.